Okay, we have really substantive follow-up to a major story from either last week or the week before. Not too long ago, you might remember that I reported to you that two prosecutors working on the Manhattan District Attorney's criminal probe of Donald Trump's organization resigned. They said, we quit. We're not doing it anymore. And we went that story. This was from, February 23rd. So 2 weeks ago. And in this original reporting, two prosecutors resigned. This was a years old probe. We didn't know why. As far as was announced, the investigation was still ongoing, and it was sort of a real question mark. And at the time, my speculation was these prosecutors realized they're not going to indict Trump. They're not going to charge Trump. And they felt my work is being done in vain. I'm getting the hell out of here. That was my speculation. And I identified it as such, to be clear. The speculation on the right was they quit because they knew there was no evidence against the Trump organization. And they felt they were being railroaded into. There was no evidence of that. There was no evidence of my hypothesis. But I argued to you that my hypothesis is far more plausible. And my hypothesis has now been vindicated, and vindicated exactly. Prosecutors resigned, says a new article, after New York DA said he wasn't prepared to move forward with the indictment of Donald Trump. We now know the reason, and I got lucky. It happened to be the reason I said. Two top prosecutors leading the criminal probe into Trump and his business resigned after the Manhattan District Attorney said he was not prepared to authorize an indictment against the former president, a person familiar with the investigation said. And there it is. Carrie Dunn and Mark Pomerantz, two senior prosecutors on the team, resigned last month, one day after Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg informed them he's not prepared to move forward with criminal charges. The resignations followed weeks of internal debate and discussion over the strength of evidence and whether it could pass the hurdle of proving a crime. Now, I want to be really clear. It's possible that the DA is correct. We don't have enough to prove a Trump crime here. That may well be. But the question was, why would they resign? Would they resign because there's nothing here to investigate? Doesn't seem likely because they've been investigating for a long time. If that was the reason, they would have known there was no evidence a long time ago. Or is it more likely that they were getting frustrated with the fact that they've been investigating for so long? They have what they might see as a solid case built up, and yet no one is willing to indict. And that appears to be it. Now, interestingly, there's some detail here about why this is. The abrupt resignation. Okay, where's the section here? Was originally started by Cy Vance. We know that. The New York Times first reported that the resignations followed a decision by Bragg to stop presenting evidence to the grand jury. The strength of the evidence against Trump has been debated by attorneys in the office for months. Some prosecutors, including the two that resigned, believed there was sufficient evidence to charge Trump, while others, including career prosecutors, were skeptical they could get a conviction because of the difficulty in proving criminal intent. That's another thing we've talked about. A lot of the crimes here that Donald Trump could be charged with really require you to show what his state of mind and intent was. And that can be very, very difficult. On the one hand, some prosecutors believe Trump speaks with a lot of hyperbole, but it wasn't clear that they could show he acted with intent to defraud. There's also a very important piece here about Michael Cohen. And this, I think we should talk about a little more. Multiple factors were at play, including lack of key Trump organization insiders cooperating with the investigation, who at trial could walk the jury through the evidence. The possible value of using Michael Cohen, Trump's former personal attorney, who in testimony before Congress alleged Trump inflated and devalued assets for his advantage, was discussed with the team. Cohen pleaded guilty to 9 charges, including lying to Congress. He was once close to Trump, but his conviction and public statements critical of Trump would give the defense ammunition to aim to discredit him. That is a very, very interesting piece of this. The idea is, if you don't have a cooperating witness from inside Trump's business, you do have all sorts of claims from Michael Cohen. But Michael Cohen, if you read between the lines, what they're saying is would be easy to discredit and destroy his credibility in a cross-examination on the basis that he has perjured himself. He has lied. He has a long history of all of the trouble that ultimately got him convicted. The counter to that be, well, those are all crimes he committed for Donald Trump. But I think it's a very legitimate question to say, what is a jury going to think if Michael Cohen is their main witness and is cross-examined about all the times that he lied? Well, so you told the lie then. How are we to believe that you are telling the truth now, et cetera, et cetera? So the point here is, this is, number one, exactly what we believe was going on. Prosecutors getting sick of the fact that they're doing their work and nobody really seems willing to prosecute. That seems to be going on. And then number two, this is why I continue to say Donald Trump is not going to spend a single day in prison. And I apologize to people who think I'm causing that to be the truth. No prosecutors are listening to me. They're going to decide what to do regardless of what I say. I see it as a very high bar to reach that a prosecutor will say, I'm going to be the first to indict a former president. I think if one did it, others would fall. But who is willing to be first? We haven't found anybody quite yet. And that's the latest with the prosecution. That's in Manhattan. There's Georgia, Southern District of New York. There's all these other things going on. But at least as far as what's going on in Manhattan, a logical follow-up to the story from February. One of our sponsors is called Privacy. Privacy is a totally free service that I've been using for years. Privacy lets me create virtual payment cards with one click, and when I use the virtual card, the money is taken out of my bank account. You can create multiple cards, delete them, freeze them, set a spending limit on them. Let's say I'm signing up for a free trial and it requires a credit card. Privacy will autofill a virtual card number, and then after signing up, I can delete that virtual card. So I know I'm not going to be charged again. Something really useful and very practical. Or let's say I'm ordering food over the phone, but I left my wallet somewhere. I don't have my real credit card on me. I can use a virtual card on my Privacy mobile app. But really the best part is you're not out there exposing your real credit card number, so you're not as susceptible to data breaches and identity theft. Privacy is a totally free service, and you'll get $5 to spend when you go to privacy.com/Pacman. The link is right underneath this video.